This is Sarah Heredia, and you are listening to the Freely You podcast. Our time together is meant to inspire you to think bigger and empower you to live your life in a way that makes you proud to be you. I believe that the only box you should fit in is the one that you build for yourself, and I'm here to help you lay the foundation. My journey has taught me that we all deserve to create our own definition of success while meeting ourselves with love and a playful curiosity. My goal is to provide practical tools and fresh perspectives so you can rewrite your story, start living your life on purpose, and ultimately become more freely you. All right. Hello. Welcome back. I am so happy that you press play on this one because I know that this is going to land with many of you, because this is something that a lot of us experience over and over and over again. And I have to laugh because I tried to record this podcast yesterday, and confession corner, I'm not even going to fully confess how many times I tried to record it because it's unreal. I haven't actually struggled to record a podcast like this in quite some time. And then I was dying because today I just pressed record again, and then I realized that I didn't have my microphone plugged in. So I have been on the struggle bus with this episode, and I'm just going to say that out loud because I think that we feel a lot of shame when we're in those moments where things feel hard, where it feels like nothing's working the way that we want it to. When we look around and it's so easy for us to see all the things that aren't working, and it feels like the struggle lies in finding the silver lining and finding the thing that's going to keep us going. So I want to just openly share that this still happens for me, and I've done a ton of work around this. Now, I will say my struggle used to impact my life on the daily, and I'm going to go more into that. But what I really want from this conversation is I've decided to simplify the conversation a lot after yesterday's debacle. But I really want this to be, if you're somebody that would describe yourself as on the struggle bus right now, maybe the struggle has felt very real for you lately, or maybe you are like a past version of me that it actually just feels like life is somewhat of a struggle, and that there's always obstacles in your way, and that you're always trying to figure out how to be happier, more content, more fulfilled, more purposeful in your life. I want you to know that this conversation can be the catalyst for your change if you allow it to be. I believe that there are going to be things that you're going to hear in this conversation that are hopefully going to land with you, and are hopefully going to be just things that you can't unhear as you move forward. Because today we are talking all about that struggle. And I know that I'm not alone in this struggle, or even like the ability to allow things to be easy for us. A lot of times when we have experienced struggle in our lives, when we have evidence that an area of our lives or areas are difficult or challenging, such as relationships, such as money, time management, our careers. Maybe we have a belief that motherhood or parenting in general is a struggle. We will continue to see evidence that just reinforces our beliefs that this is true for us. And the challenge, or I would say more the opportunity that lies in front of us, is to choose something different. And to stop choosing the struggle. And I know you're like pump the brakes. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm not choosing this for myself. And real talk, most of the time we are. We are choosing the struggle. Many of us are addicted to the struggle. And if that sounds harsh and you're like, that's a bit much. Okay, let me rephrase it. We are conditioned to the struggle. We have struggled in one area or multiple areas of our lives for an extended period of time. And now we have taken that on as our story, as our identity, and as our truth. And I've been seeing this with my one-on-one clients. It's like when we make all this progress, right? When we start to like create these shifts and this change in our lives, but then there's just certain things that keep coming up over and over and over again. And we get frustrated. We get frustrated that we're still being challenged by the same things. We get frustrated that things are not working out the way that we want them to, even though we feel like our intentions are good, even though we feel like our goals are clear. And in these moments when we're feeling really frustrated, what I'm inviting you to do is take a step back and really reevaluate possibly. Am I just in the pattern of my struggle right now? And I've shared this on this podcast before, but my, younger years, there was a lot of struggle everywhere I looked. I saw struggle in marriage. I saw that relationships are hard and challenging, and we're often misunderstood in them. We're also often not satisfied in them. I saw a struggle with money, that money was hard to come by. It was hard to hold on to. I saw a struggle in happiness, that happiness didn't always come easily, that was something that you often had to fight for. So I saw struggle in a lot of areas of my life. And as I got older, I continued to see struggle. I saw struggle in my career. I had this belief that, success was really hard work. And that translated to my own personal struggle within my career, within finding my value in my career, in finding fulfillment in my career. If I'm being really honest, I found struggle in my marriage. And it wasn't that it was my partner or the relationship that I was currently in. It was that I was creating like this chaos in my marriage that didn't actually exist. Like I have this incredibly easygoing, pretty agreeable partner. And I was just constantly stirring the pot, like creating this chaos for myself. And I saw the same thing with my career. When I eventually moved from one career to another, I felt like this big sigh of relief, like, oh, I did it. I'm going to experience all this change now because I'm choosing something different for myself. But what happened is the same struggle that I had in my previous career followed me to my next career. And that was somewhat circumstantial. A lot of it, though, was me and my own chaos, my own struggle that I was carrying with me. My belief that work had to be really hard, my inability to manage work and life, to not know when to close the laptop and move on, the emotional and emotional connection that I had to my job and finding my value in my job, needing to prove myself to other people. Like these were all struggles that I carried with me from career to career. It wouldn't matter what career I had. It wouldn't matter who I was in a relationship with, because I was recreating this same struggle for myself. And I see this happening all the time with my clients. It's because we have all this evidence that these areas of our lives are challenging or are difficult, we will continue to recreate that for ourselves, even if it's not the truth. Because it's the story that we've been telling for so long. It's the beliefs that we have ingrained in our subconscious mind. And it's our nervous system's baseline. It's where we feel the most comfortable. If you are somebody that has endured trauma, chaos, instability, any sort of imbalance in your life, in relationships with money, in your career, that has been established as your baseline. You actually feel more comfortable being in a state of chaos, being in a state of feeling unfulfilled or feeling angry or resentful or unlovable. And so you keep recreating that for yourself, even when it's not actually your truth in the moment. And I understand this is a hard pill to swallow, because I've had to say this to my clients where it's like, I'm coming from a place of so much love and support for you right now, but I need you to recognize the role that you are actually playing in this reality that you are ultimately creating for yourself, this struggle that you are addicted to, that you keep coming back to because you don't know life without it. You don't know what it feels like to live a life where you don't feel unsafe or uncomfortable or enough or content. Like, these are not normal feelings for you. And that's okay. But in order to create something different for ourselves, I think you already know where we have to start, right? We have to start with this awareness. We have to start with this awareness around what our beliefs are and the way that they're showing up in our lives, even though we don't want this to be our truth anymore. So when we can get clear on, okay, I have seen struggle in this area of my life, and maybe it was when you were a child, maybe it was in your teenage years, maybe it was when you were a young adult, maybe it's something that's come up completely later in life, but it became a part of your life for an extended period of time. You know, a good example of this is like relationships. I have somebody very close to me that was in a very challenging relationship for a decade. Abusive, mentally abusive relationship. And now she's in a position, she's moved on from that relationship, and she's stepping into new relationships. And one of the things that she shared with me is, you know, I don't know how. I hear this a lot. And it's the most disempowering thing that we can say, even if it is your truth. I don't know how to have a healthy relationship. I don't know how to not feel insecure or to feel needy or to feel like I need my emotions to be validated. I don't know how to feel content. I don't know how to not doubt that this relationship is going to like crash and burn like all of the other ones have. Like, I don't know how to get there. You might not know how. You might not have a 5-step process of here's how I'm going to get to point A to point Z. But you do know how to choose something different. Even if you were modeled horrible from like the beginning of your time. Maybe your parents didn't teach you how to have a good relationship. And then in return, you went out and started forming your own relationship, and maybe you've been in toxic relationship after toxic relationship after toxic relationship. So you literally have so much evidence that relationships are hard. They are a struggle. It's hard to find fulfillment in relationships. Maybe you're a bad picker. Maybe you don't even have the ability to choose a good partner. This might be a belief that you have. And so you don't know how to create anything different for yourself. I need you to know that you do know how. You know what you don't want, right? You've been shown what doesn't work. You've seen and experienced for yourself what an unhealthy relationship looks like. So when we have all of this evidence, when we've experienced all of these things, we have so much power to choose the opposite of that. I'm not asking you to go back to this beautiful knowledge that your parents gave you about love and integrity and building a firm foundation for your marriage, because that wasn't available to you, and that's okay. But you know what you saw that didn't feel safe. You know what you saw that felt unjust. You know what you saw that felt very unhealthy. So you get to choose something different. You get to choose the opposite of what you've seen. And you get to choose to create new evidence for yourself that a fulfilling relationship without all the drama is actually possible for you. Same thing in my career. I mean, even in starting my own business, you guys, this is mine. Like, I have no one to blame. It's not my crazy boss. I mean, maybe it is, but at the end of the day, that's me. I'm the crazy boss. But it's not my coworkers. It's not my work environment. It's not my workload that is the problem. It's my addiction to the struggle. It's my addiction to hard work. It's my addiction to finding my value in my work that has created similar problems in my business these days than I had in my career 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. Same, like different shit, same me, right? So I've had to really get honest with myself about that. These aren't, a lot of the things we see, it's not them problem. It's not life problems. It's not circumstantial problems. These are us problems. These are you problems. These are me problems. And we have to get really honest about that. If there are areas in your life where you continuously find yourself struggling to find your value, to find that you're deserving, to find that you feel content, to find that you're happy, to find that you're not looking outside for something better all the time, that is a you thing. And it is your addiction to things being really challenging. And it is what we choose to focus on. You know, it does go so far beyond mindset. Like mindset is like this teeny tiny little piece of it. Because I could tell you, you know, there's, in our day, there's probably 55 things that go right in our day. And maybe there's 2 or 3 that go wrong. Maybe really wrong for some of them. What are you choosing to focus on over and over and over again? And this comes down to like literally the second that we open our eyes. If you're just flooded with panic, with anxiety, with your to-do list, with dread, with doubt, with overwhelm for your day, the second that you open your eyes, you can't expect to see anything other than that as you move through your day, because you've set the tone. That's your baseline for the day. So if your baseline is struggle, if your baseline is hardships, if your baseline is conflict, even if that's internal, you will continue to see more and more and more of that. The struggle will continue to be very, very real for you. You will be driving that fucking bus, honey. And that's just the reality of it. So regardless if we're talking about your kind of life as a whole, that things feel hard, challenging, sticky, frustrating, or it's just like this one area or couple areas where it's like, oh, this always feels like it's so hard for me. It always feels like I'm not making the progress that I want. I really need you to take a good look at what is your role in that. Even me recording this podcast, I don't know, freaking 12 times yesterday without ever making any progress on it. I had to shut my laptop and step away and be like, what is the problem here? Why is this a struggle for you? And what it came down to, honestly, is that overall, I wasn't having a great day in general. And I was trying to like block that out and not let it impact my work. But it was, and that's okay. But it required me to get honest about that. It required me to step away. And it required me to try to come back with a completely new mindset today. And to start over and to start from scratch and to not carry over the frustration from yesterday. Do you see how that's different than if I would have sat down today and been like, oh, well, this didn't work out yesterday, so I don't know why it would today. Then I forget to plug in my microphone. Can you imagine, like, if I let that be the thing that was like confirmation of, well, maybe this podcast just wasn't ever meant to happen. See, it is a struggle. See, Sarah, you can't talk about struggle because you struggle. You can't even record a podcast. Like, do you see how this snowballs if we let it? One little tiny thing. One thing that goes wrong turns into our entire identity, that everything is hard for us, that nothing's ever working out for us, that, oh, it's just so hard to balance all these things. Take a step back. I challenge you to look at the things that are working in your life, things that you can celebrate, wins that you've had this week, this month, today, and take some time to focus on those things. But if all we're going to do is focus on the one thing that's not going right, the one thing that feels challenging right now, the one thing that doesn't seem to be working even though we keep trying, you're going to continue to see that struggle. And honestly, that struggle is probably going to trickle into every other area of your life because it's taking up so much of our energy. If you believe that your relationships are a struggle, if you've been shown that relationships are hard, that will continue to be your reality as long as you let it. If you think that work-life balance is hard, if you think that juggling all the things, if you think that time management is hard, if you think that productivity is hard, if you think it's hard to not put things off, to be focused, that will continue to be hard for you. If you think that money is hard, if every time you look at your bank account and that feels challenging, if it feels like you don't even have a grasp on your finances and you don't know where to start, that will continue to be your reality. I promise you. If you want something different, you have to think differently. And I will tell you, when I was at a point that everything felt like a struggle, I held a very deep-rooted belief that life in general was a struggle. So can you imagine how that was showing up, why that was showing up, why every area of my life felt hard and challenging? Because that was my expectation. My expectation was that everything was going to be difficult or challenging, or that things for me just had to be harder than anybody else. If you're expecting the worst always, you will continue to get the worst. If you are looking for the worst always, you will continue to find it. You have to change your expectations. You have to change the stories that you're telling. And you have to change what you are choosing to focus on. You know, this came up really recently for me. And if you've been listening to my podcast, you've been here. You actually witnessed this huge transition that just happened. But there was this story that I was telling about, you know, the tipping point in my business, right? That I was almost there and I was so close and I could feel it. And what I woke up and realized one day is that this is the story that I'm still telling. that my business isn't where I want it to be, that I'm so close, but I'm just not there, that I just need to keep like showing up and pushing through and, telling myself that it's okay. What was happening when I was telling that story? I was not moving forward in any way, shape, or form. I was staying in that place, talking about the struggle, talking about how, I was so close, but I just wasn't there yet. Talking about how all my hard work is going to pay off someday. And it was like one day I woke up and I decided like, no, I think I'm kind of done telling that story. I think I'm there. I think I've put in the work. I think I've overcome the obstacles. I think I've kept showing up. And I think I'm ready to reap the benefits of all of that now. And think I'm ready to change the narrative on the story that I keep telling about how things are like challenging in my business. That's not the story I'm telling anymore. I told somebody the other day, I think I've made it. I think I made it in my business, and I meant it. And I don't mean that I've made it in like that I'm just fucking overflowing financially and in my fulfillment and all the things and everything is better than I ever expected. That's not what I mean. I think I've made it in the fact that I can wake up every day and I can know that I've chose this path and I've chose it over and over again. And it's working for me. Seeds that I planted years ago are coming to fruition. People that I didn't even know have been along for my journey are coming out of the woodwork. Like, these things are my reality right now. And when I look at what shifted, what changed, what created those things, it's the fact that this is the story that I decided to tell. That I decided to stop telling the story about the struggle. I decided to stop focusing on the fact that my cup hadn't overflown yet. Overflown? Overfilled? Overflowed. The point is that we have so much control over what we see in our day-to-day. But we have to let go of this attachment that we have to the struggle. We have to let go of, even though we have been shown so much evidence that this is our truth, we have to let that go and choose what we want our story to be. Choose how we want to feel each day. Choose what we want to focus on each day. And a lot of times it's as easy as being done talking about all the things that aren't working for us exactly how we want. What if you decided to only tell the story about the things that were working? What if when somebody asked you how things were, you didn't go immediately to the bad, and instead you decided to choose the one thing that was working, and you decided to just pour all of your energy into that and be excited about that? If you continue to focus on your struggle, you will continue to be shown that the struggle is real. If you want something different, you have to choose something different. And it really is that easy. When you wake up in the morning, what if rather than like when those dark thoughts start coming in, what if you shifted the narrative? What if you turned off the panic button? And what if you took a deep breath and just said, today is going to be amazing. I'm going to make today amazing. No matter what, I'm going to focus on the good in the day. And this goes beyond mindset work because it's not about saying it. It's about feeling it. It's about choosing that over and over and over again. When you start to inevitably go back to the struggle story, because you will, because it's ingrained in you, because you're addicted to it, and that's okay. But when you start to go back to that story, to choose, I'm not doing this right now. I'm not choosing the struggle anymore. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to do more of this. And let those be the good things in your life. Let those be the things that are actually working for you. There's so much beauty in this life every single day. And it doesn't matter to me. You could be at rock bottom right now. I am still talking to you. When you go outside and you get to breathe in fresh air, if the sun happens to be shining like it was today, oh, like, can you just let that little tiny thing, you hear a bird chirp, can you let that be the like little tiny bit of light that tells you, I don't have to struggle all the time. I don't have to tell the story of struggle. I'm rewriting my story right now. I'm choosing to focus on what feels good. You do this enough, you will change your story about struggle. You will start to create your own evidence that life is not a struggle. But before you can do that, I need you to really, really hone in on, where are you letting the struggle be the narrative? And if you knew like immediately, like, well, yeah, this area of my life always feels like a struggle. The relationship thing, the career thing, the money thing, the weight thing, the bad habits thing, the overindulgence thing, the zoning out thing, the focusing thing, the prioritizing my time thing. There's probably multiple areas in your life that feel hard. What is the story that you're telling? How much of that struggle are you creating on the regular for yourself? How much are you actually looking for the chaos, looking for the unfulfillment, looking to be unsettled? Look for something else. Choose something else. You are not meant to struggle. I was not meant to struggle. That is not what we are here to do. We are here to thrive. We are here to feel our best. But in order to do that, we have to let go of this just grip that we have on that life has to be hard, that the struggle has to be real. It's only as real as you make it, and it only can take up as much of your energy as you allow it to. So really get clear on this. Really get clear on where you're letting the struggle define your days, and start choosing something different. Start choosing something else to talk about, to focus on. How you're going to show up to it. Commit to showing up differently to your own struggle. Because I don't want to see you struggle. And you do not deserve that. And I'm just over here laughing that this podcast just flowed. It was nothing that I planned on talking about yesterday, which is probably why it worked. Sometimes if something's not working, if something feels like a really big struggle, here's the other takeaway here. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. We don't need to force it. If it's not working out right now, maybe it's not working out for a reason. Maybe it's because there's something better waiting. Maybe it's because it's going to be more meaningful, more impactful the next time that you decide to focus on it. Don't get so hung up on the struggle. Stop giving the struggle all of your energy, and save your energy for when the timing is right, for when it doesn't feel challenging. And keep showing up. Trust that if something is meant for you, it will be. And maybe it's not when we're in the forcing mode. Maybe it's when we actually just take a step back, loosen our grip, and trust that it's all working out when it's supposed to and how it's supposed to. This is a game changer. I hope that you found something beneficial out of this episode. I hope that you can change your relationship with the struggle. And I am sending you so much love if you are navigating any or all of this. To those of you that tune in every single week, thank you. I hope you already know just how much I love you. If you are just finding me or just stepping into my work, welcome. I am so happy that you are here. You can find more of me and my work on Instagram at Freely Sarah Heredia. I also am hosting a women's self-discovery retreat May 20th through 22nd at the most fabulous location here in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. And I still have space for you to join me there. If you are looking for more consistent support and community, I want to tell you about my women's group, The Nest. We offer a monthly membership where you have access to the entire community of amazing women who are doing big things and crushing life, plus all the calls that we have throughout the month. Or you can drop into any single call that we have that interests you. So you can find more on all of this and all of my work through the link in the show notes. But no matter how long you have been with me, thank you for being here. And truly, I would love to see more of you.